Joshua Lenox, the place to fill up your tank if you're in need of encouragement and motivation.
Well, everybody. Here we are yet again on another Friday, a lovely Friday. As a matter of fact, it's the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July, or I'm going to say 4th of July, or I'm going to say happy Independence Day, whatever you want to call it. Happy that. I hope everybody is being safe out there right now. Also, I want to say again, this is the Inspiration Station, where we upsize in 2025 all day, every day, y'all. And I hope, as I say every Friday, you better be saying it and affirming it and confirming it and validating that over your life every day, because that's what it is. 2025, we are upsizing in every way, in every part of our lives, every area. So welcome all. I am just so excited about this episode on today. And some of you all have seen the reel out there, so you know who's going to be in the room on today in the Inspiration Station. But I want to say also that I hope all of you all have had an amazing Friday as of even up until this very moment. Some of y'all a lot of y'all were off, and I don't care. I worked. I don't have an attitude. I'm glad, I'm happy, and I'm excited for all of you all being off and eating barbecue and all of that stuff. But I just ask that you all put down the plates for just a little while, or even if you're watching right now with your families or anything like that, save me a plate or something like that. You know, as you're about to be fed in different way, I'm gonna feed you in another way, but save me a plate or two or some Tupperware. So I also wanted to say, anybody who is watching for the first time, welcome in. This is not going to be your last time. It's not. I already know. For you all who are continuing to support the Inspiration Station, I want to say thank you. I am seeing these numbers. Oh my God! First of all, thank y'all to the people who are on YouTube, because I see the videos continuing to climb, and it was 2 videos I've seen, the last 2, that are like, one is at 1.1 thousand, and the one I did last Friday is at 1,000. So somebody out there sharing, and that means that y'all are listening to me. Y'all don't want me to have to say anything that's going to be hurtful to any of y'all. So I'm just appreciative. But no, I'm so appreciative that you all are sharing this out like you're doing, and watching, and being very consistent with me. And I appreciate that greatly. So I'm not going to belabor the time, but I just want to say hey to everybody right now on Facebook Live, on Instagram Live, on LinkedIn. Can I say LinkedIn Live? Yeah, LinkedIn Live. What's the other one? Let's see. We said Instagram. We said Facebook. Hey, YouTube. And I see y'all numbers right now. I see y'all on there already coming in the room, 402 right now. So hey to all of y'all. And also for my wonderful and beautiful listeners on Spotify, also on Audible, Amazon, and on Apple. And y'all, I get excited when I say Apple, because it took a mighty long time to get together, but we finally here. We're here. So without further ado, y'all, I'm going to jump right in. Y'all, welcome once again. And what is the Inspiration Station? For all of you all who are new, and to you all who have been coming week after week, you already know what it is. But the Inspiration Station is literally a nickname that I have, and I was given in 2012. Somebody just literally said that I reminded them of a radio station that sends out frequencies that seem to just know what everybody needed to hear. And hearing that for the first time, I just was kind of like, that is so nice. It really sticks to me. That's cool. But then I didn't think anything about it until here we are. We fast forward, and we're utilizing that every Friday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time here with the Inspiration Station. What to expect on here? This is where we become open, honest, and vulnerable with one another, and also, more importantly, with ourselves. Sometimes the relationship with ourselves can be the most difficult, or the most challenging, or the thing that's most overlooked. As we have people coming in, you all have seen how we've had, usually it's not just you're talking to me any longer. Now I have people who are coming in that we're going to be interviewing, and they're going to be shining their light and giving you some nuggets from their own lives and their walks of life and the things that they do. And as y'all know, everybody is a superstar to me. And as I mentioned, I think a couple of episodes back, my best friend told me, she was like, everybody to you is a superstar. It doesn't matter if it's somebody on the street corner. It doesn't matter if it's somebody who has the most greatest or biggest platform in the world. Everybody's a superstar to you. And I was like, you're right. I really do see everybody as a superstar, because I really believe everybody is a superstar. It's just up to you to believe it. And it doesn't have to mean that you have some level of status in order to be that and to embody that. Also, as we're talking about bringing people in to interview and things of that nature, I also want you, each and every one of you, to remember that the Inspiration Station is not just Joshua Lenox, and it's not just the people who are being interviewed, but it's also you. Each and every one of you are an inspiration to many whether you know it or not. And again, I always say, I don't care nothing about some of y'all shaking your head and saying, no, I don't think that's me, because that you're lying. You're lying. And when the test comes in for that, we'll have to say that you're lying. You are inspiration to many and anybody who you come across. And you are most importantly an inspiration to yourself, because if you look at the life that you have lived up until this very moment, there are several things that you can reflect back over and say, you know what? I can inspire myself to move on and go a little step further, because I've been through a lot. I've been challenged by a lot. I've had obstacles, but I've also overcome a lot. So, without further ado, y'all, I just before this person comes in, and I got to let this marinate for a minute. But we have somebody very special that is going to be coming to us today. Someone who's very much a jewel, not just to me, but also to this world, especially the entertainment industry, especially when you talk about singing. I ain't gonna say singing. I'm gonna just say when you talk about singing, she does not sing. She sings. She sings. So without further ado, y'all have a little something to kind of get a little introduction, and then we'll go right into it. But nonetheless, y'all, we're getting ready to witness the prowess, the legendary, the vocality of Mount Rushmore, as I like to say, who can sing from the top to the bottom. I mean, from the high heavens to the bottom of the floor. Okay, none other than the amazing and the incomparable, the unparalleled and the unsung Melonie Daniels.
Most commonly known for her 12-year tenure as a chief background vocalist, vocal arranger, and vocal director for Mariah Carey, Melonie Daniels is more than a background vocal. She is a vocal coach, vocal director, vocal arranger, a songwriter, and an actor. With TV, film, and stage credits, her resume reads like the who's who of music and entertainment royalty, working with a broad spectrum of vocalists and musicians. The list including Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Wynton Marsalis, Kim Burrell, Israel Haughton, and Tyler Perry.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Melonie Daniels, ma'am.
What's up, peoples?
Oh, shoot. Oh, snap. Trouble done entered the room. I can already feel it. I feel it. How you doing, Mel?
I'm doing well, thank you, Lord. As the old saints used to say, well, actually, as Bishop used to say from Azusa,
Pierce.
it's like, how you doing? I'm yet holding on.
Yes, yeah, Bishop Carlton Hilton.
Bishop Pearson,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm yet holding.
I'm yet holding on, but keep on keeping on in me.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for being here today and welcoming you here to the Inspiration Station. It is absolutely an amazing treat today.
Well, thank you for having me. This is really, really cool.
Yes, and you know what, y'all? If you saw my reel out there today, I was like, y'all know her as she gets a mic and she just snaps, and that's just what she does well. But at the same time, some of y'all might not realize she is really a comedian. And I said to her before, I said, I hope we don't cut up too bad, but it's just kind of hard for us not to do that. So I think all of us are going to witness that on tonight. So,
I've always said musicians are frustrated comedians, and comedians are frustrated musicians.
Yes, yes, I think that's absolutely accurate. Oh, that was exactly what you're saying. Let me ask you before we jump into any questions. Any plans that you've had for today with this good old fourth, the fourth, as the people like to say?
Well, happy day 15 after Juneteenth.
There you go.
One
more time. One more time.
I didn't have any plans. Actually, I was. I know a lot of people don't know, but I've been dealing with some health issues over the last 6 years, and I am now a dialysis patient. So that was my day today. So I did dialysis very early this morning, and I've been home, and my neighbors are cooking, so they got a plate out there for me. So roll this along. You know what I'm saying?
You got something that's waiting on you.
Yes, I got some chicken, a little salad, a little barbecue chicken situation, and we praise God for the barbecue.
We do bless for the bird that had to die so that we might.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Don't make me. I'm Baptist. I'll have a fit on you. Don't do it.
All right. Well, look, I was saying you didn't have to say the names of the food and stuff, but because now my stomach is growling, but it's all right. We're gonna put it. a little bit. But first of all, Mel, first of all, when you just mentioned that, I love the fact, because again, that's something I know you've, of course, shared with me in private, of course, knowing things with health things or not. But I appreciate, because again, one thing I admire is that you will never know what's going on with Melonie Daniels by just what you see. You'll be thinking like, oh, I just love me. And you have
Oh,
no
she
idea.
good.
Right. You have no idea what she's going through, but she will push.
Baby, life is life and in a big way.
Yeah. Will push it, and she has such endurance, and she is definitely a fighter. But let me tell you something: when it's time for her to sit it down, she will sit it down. She will sit with no problem.
All the way down.
Yes. Well, look, Mel, we're gonna jump right on into this really quick. But the first question I would love to ask you, which I mean, I'm gonna ask you anyway. You don't have any choice, so you have to answer it. But what is the definition of Melonie Daniels?
That's a weird one.
Did you call me weird, or you said I'm just playing?
No, the question is weird.
Yeah. What's the
What is the
definition
definition of
of Melonie?
Melonie Daniels?
Yeah, what does that mean if somebody says Melonie Daniels? What do you think that's defined as?
General,
Whichever way you want
the
it.
general definition, what my perception of how people perceive me.
If that's where you want to
Yeah, let's start there.
go. Okay.
How people perceive me is singer,
Mm-hmm.
open mic host,
Mm-hmm.
gospel music,
Mm-hmm.
background singer.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think people perceive me.
Mm-hmm.
How I perceive myself:
Mm-hmm.
daughter, sister, auntie, friend, child of the Most High God.
Yes.
That should have been first. We got to reprioritize, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Loyal,
Mm-hmm.
loving, love being a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
love sharing information, um, love helping,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess my toxic trait would be I help too much and I give too much.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there are those out there that take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know how hard it is to find another good person like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's how I perceive myself. Of course, with insecurities, flaws,
Mm-hmm.
the things I don't like about me. But overall, I try to remain positive. I choose happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I like peace. I like consistency. I don't like chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I will steer clear of it all the time.
By any means necessary.
Yeah, I think I was sharing with you the other day. I'm a practiced extrovert. I'm an introvert,
Yes. Yes.
but I'm really well practiced being an extrovert.
Yeah, and something I'm glad you said that too, because Mel, like I told you, I said, there are you can be a person who loves your space, loves to be, and again, when some people see most people in the world have seen you on, all they see you on is a big
On a
stage.
stage.
That's all
Yeah.
they see you on a big stage, and not realizing this is what I give as far as my talent, my gift,
Right.
my ability, my skill. However, I like my space. I like to be by myself. I might be introverted to a degree, but I have extroverted tendencies because,
Right.
yes, this is the job. I show up. I can be functional, very
Yep.
much so. I can be in a room full of people and talk and smile and gleam because that's something I've been conditioned to do, but I like
Right.
to have my space.
I mean, there are times where I'll be sitting with friends and they know not to bother me, but then there are other people. Why ain't you moving around? Why ain't you smiling? Why ain't you? I'm all right, thank you.
Right. God bless. Please give me my space. I think that's something too that you mentioned about being the type of person. And let me back up because I asked you something and you gave me a duality, which I appreciate because again, it's like, how do people perceive me? How do people see? And again, Mel, because you're a public figure, you've been
Yeah.
a major public figure for decades, and it's like so. how do people view me? How does the world see me? I know that side, but then also this is the side that I know to be true to how I define myself.
Right.
I think sometimes I think about, you're growing up, somebody asks you, well, who are you? Who is you? Who are you? And you like, you start naming the things you do. Somebody
Yeah.
for yourself, I'm a singer, I'm an arranger, I'm a background vocalist, I'm a clinician,
Right.
I'm a teacher, I'm this. And it's like, well, is that who you are, or are those things a part of who you are, but there's things that you do? Those are things that you execute. That's like if someone's to say, I think more so if somebody was to say, I'm an encourager. Well, an encourager can encourage 24 hours a day. They can go in the grocery store and encourage the cashier
Right.
or encourage the
Right.
stranger. You can be a singer you can be an encourager who happens to sing. I can be an encourager who happens to dance. I'm an encourager who
Oh,
happens to act, whatever it is. But the core of, sometimes I think, this is something I've said too. I mentioned when I say I want to have people on here, people who people will know from a distance, who've influenced them. They've seen them on TV. They're major people. Sometimes we forget about the person, and you look at the talent, you look at the skill set, and you don't look at who the person is, and you forget that. So when you meet these people and you're like, oh my God, and it's like, okay, and then you see they're human and you're like, oh wait.
Yeah,
Even if
like people when I show up certain places, like
Mhm.
especially if I'm going to minister somewhere or to sing somewhere and it's an overnight thing, like I have to go and get flued in,
Pull it out.
uh, flued in, flued out, and I have to stay at the hotel and they have somebody that's with me that's picking me up or dropping me off,
Yes.
and I'm sitting in the car or I'm with them or I'm in space and they're like, "You're really quiet." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they see the switch flip when I get on the platform.
Yeah.
And they're like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "Something I've been doing all of my life."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Genuinely and regularly, I would rather like, "Shh, don't draw attention. Shh, quiet, quiet, quiet. Shh.
Yeah.
Don't do that."
Yeah. Calm
And I'm
down.
still that way.
Mm-hmm. Something you mentioned too, man. I want you to kind of talk about, and you talk about being, and I know you to be this most sweetest one. That's why I said she's a jewel in the gym to me. And again, that can be rare. Uh, with such, again, I think it was the first time I remember we had a video call years ago, and I was like, man, you was like, child, please, and we were just laughing, talking to each other. But I think sometimes when you do have a big heart, because also you've been giving for a long time with your gift,
Yeah.
so you're gifting all the time, but also the personhood of who you are can be taken advantage of, especially when
Yeah.
you're rare. You're not a diva. You could be a diva entire. You could be, and it's just so far removed from who your character is.
It is too much focus to maintain a diva and or alternate personalities. It's too much. What you see is what you get. Like I used to when I was hosting with the late Ron Grant
Yeah.
at the Village Underground in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
People like there were friends of mine that would come with me, come to church with me,
Yeah.
and then they would come to the club with me. They're like, "You're exactly the same in both spaces.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?" I was like, "I really don't have. I think it's the ADD and the ADHD. I don't have the focus to do that. To maintain a caricature."
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I don't like disingenuous. I don't like inauthentic.
Yeah.
And the reason why I've let my hair go gray, I can't. I'm 57 years old. This is what happens. I got wrinkles. I've lost 160 pounds. This is why I
Yes.
got this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that's trying to cover that up, I
Mm-hmm.
find that to be disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I don't have the focus to keep that up. Like when I started dyeing my hair, like okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the color thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And I had the two-tone head. I had burgundy on the top and I had my color, my brown on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then when my gray started coming in, I was like, I do not want to be a tricolor head. So I let it grow out, and then I started seeing my little streak come in, and I was like, oh, that's so fly.
Uh-huh.
I listened to my soon-to-be ex-husband and my former manager when I
Mm-hmm.
was about to do a photo shoot. They said, you got to dye your hair, you got to be current, you got to look younger. And I was like, well, what are you saying? I don't look young.
Right. Right.
What's wrong?
Right.
I dyed my hair and I hated it because
Mm-hmm.
literally my hair grows like a chia pet. Every 10 days I was in there getting my roots done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah, ain't
too
gonna work.
high maintenance. Nope.
Ain't
Get
gonna
me out
work.
of here.
Chill. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I
Well,
was
maybe
like, get me out of here. I can't do
right.
it.
Gotta be authentic. Gotta be genuine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is something I just thought about, but you've seen so much, whether in the church world or quote unquote the secular world. I
Mhm.
wonder, for me, you've seen it all. You've seen the probably the most genuine people, and you've seen very much so the like for real,
Right.
whatever. How does one in those shoes for the many decades you've been in the business in the industry? How does one's, I guess, well, let me ask you this. How does your church, like in a sense, church upbringing? I know you're a church girl, but
All day, every day.
how did your church upbringing prepare you to not only sing and perform in quote unquote, I don't really like to say secular because I think
Right. Right.
secular, it's like, is it secular or is this like we just depend upon, what message are we getting across? Because it could be just as much as the same in the church or in gospel, but
Right.
I would go for the term in the sake of our audience. But in the secular realm, of the entertainment industry, how do you feel like that upbringing and being rooted in your faith? How do you think that carried you to all the things that you've seen? I mean, because you've literally been around the world and so
Right. I really believe my foundation in my relationship to Jesus Christ. I'm gonna say one word:
mm,
discipline.
mm, mm,
My parents were Bible teachers, and there's a discipline to being a teacher
sure.
and to being a student.
Hmm.
And I saw that exercised in my face every day with my parents. Um, to be consistent, to not be one way here and another way here, to always lead with excellence, to do the best of your ability,
Hmm.
um, and to always be a student too.
Hmm.
Because just because you might be the teacher or the senior in a situation doesn't mean you know all the answers.
True.
And there could be somebody younger than you, somebody older than you, that can show you a different way or a different approach to accomplish something. So
Hmm.
I'm always wanting to learn the newer way or another way to accomplish something. So just remaining curious, and also, like I said, whatever the skill that I've honed over the years, to present that in an excellent way, and with character and with integrity.
Hmm.
Like Donald, this is one of the greatest compliments I've ever received. My big brother Donald Lawrence said, "You are the only singer I know that in whatever section you're singing in, you sound like that voice.
Yes.
When you sing soprano, you sound like a soprano. When you sing alto, you sound like an alto. When
Hmm.
you sing tenor, you sound like a dude. You sound like a tenor." And he's even had me like sing on certain things. Like I sang on the first company record,
Uh-huh.
the song "I Speak Life"
Yes.
with Pastor Donnie McClurkin.
Yeah.
It was myself and the other singers, but when we did overdubs, he had me overdub every part,
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
the soprano to the baritone.
Hmm.
And he also had me do that same thing when he co-produced Karen Clark's not finally
Yeah.
Karen, The Heavens Are Telling.
Yeah.
I did the demos so that the singers can learn it.
Hmm.
I sang soprano on the session
Hmm.
myself, Latrice Pace
Yes. I
and
love.
Shay Simpson. We sang soprano
Hmm.
on that session. And then when it was done and they had to do post production, Donald calls me into the studio again. I'm like, "Where are the other singers?" He said, "Nah, all I need is you." I I dubbed all the vocals from the soprano down to the tenor.
Hmm.
And he was just like, "You're consistent, but you don't sound like the same person on each part."
Hmm.
And that's because I think in my upbringing, my parents didn't have babysitters by the time I came around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was going everywhere with him. And when we were at home, they sat me in front of the television
Hmm.
to keep me quiet so they could prep for whatever they had to do at church. And so that made me listen to voices, made me listen to singers, maybe listen to people that spoke.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things is to watch cartoons and listen to the different voicings. Mel Blanc was a genius because that man voiced like 70 characters
Mm-hmm.
and they all sounded different.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that to be so fascinating. Even as a child, I was like 6, 7 years old watching this stuff, like
Yeah.
very intrigued by that. So it made me study like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, I'm forever a student because there's a new sound that's out now that I don't know how to do inherently, but these children that are coming up now know how to do that. So I'm learning from them how to
Mm-hmm.
execute that.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to being able to teach people from the experiences that I've had to
Mm-hmm.
show them how to get certain things, like when we get into the technicalities of singing, tone, texture, the way you shape your mouth, embouchure, um, 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 sitting in your head voice, your it's singing through your mask, singing from your throat, singing from your chest.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things come into play from
Mm-hmm.
being a student of what I love to do.
Right.
So yeah,
I think, and again, I love the way you went the direction with that because again, it goes back to meaning it's not so much about the what I'm seeing externally; it's about who I'm remaining within my gifting and knowing what I'm
yeah,
sent to do. And again, if I'm gonna,
and knowing where your source is.
uh,
There's no way I could have done any of this without God's stamp of approval.
yes,
Because I was like, okay, Father, what you leading me into? I'm a church girl. What am I doing out here? I done heard all these horror stories about the road and being on tour and all that stuff. I was like, I
Mhm.
don't know nothing about this. The
Yeah,
prayer I prayed was, Father, I need you to shine through everything that I do.
hmm,
The way I walk, talk, carry myself, interact with people, do my job. I need you to shine through it all.
yeah,
And I don't want, that goes back to that scripture, let men see your good works, but glorify the Father in heaven for what they see. That's what I
absolutely,
wanted.
right.
That's
Let
what
your
I
light,
want.
let
And
your light
that was
shine.
my prayer and my desire. And God has honored that. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, letting your light shine before men, so they will see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
Exactly.
And in lieu of that, because now I told you I probably would throw some stuff at you,
Yeah.
commentary, but it's funny that you say that because we're both very young. We're very young in age, and I remember being a 7-year-old young man sitting in I think it was my grandmother's room. I was able to be in there, and even while she was taking a nap and watch TV or something, and I remember watching MTV Unplugged. And I used to enjoy watching them because you see, and I mean, I didn't care who was on. It could have been REM. I didn't care who was on.
Right, right, right.
And I loved Mariah because, and my grandmother did too. So she would listen to her, and I remember she had just really come out. So I remember we would listen. I wanted to watch it, and I'm just looking, and I remember they played that all the time. They played that one all the time, and I learned the credits. And I mean, I learned who everybody was singing background. I knew who everybody was. So I mean, I knew who Melonie Daniels was just by that thing. And I was like, that was 7 years old. But something to prove to what you're saying. When I watched you still, you could still. I mean, because anytime we saw Mariah, we saw you too. So I mean, shoot. Anytime you heard her hits, you heard you too. So it's
Look,
like,
I've traveled with her for 12 years and I
yeah,
sang with her for 18.
yeah,
So a lot of the classic stuff I'm
mm-hmm.
a part of that history, which
Uh-huh.
was nothing but God. And actually after I stopped working for her, I just sent her a note, an Instagram or
Uh-huh.
something, a DM or something. I was
Uh-huh.
like, wow, thank you for choosing me to be a part of this journey with you,
Mm-hmm.
because it was nothing but God directing her to choose myself, Kelly Price, and Cherie Price,
Mm-hmm.
as her core singers, because she had the guys before us. It was
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trey Lorenz, Patrick McMillan, and Gino. Oh, Gino's last name. I'm about to give him a different name.
Oh Lord, no.
But it was they were the ones that were singing, and then when they wanted to change the sound or the look or whatever they were looking for, they asked us to do it, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Wow, sure."
Right. Right. It was I don't know, for me, it was even as a kid, I remember even like the Music Box album, there was just the texture of the sounds. It was like it was inevitable. You almost learned who the background singers were without even having to see anybody live. You just kind of knew, oh yeah, that's Melonie, that's Kelly, that's
Yeah.
I knew Trey as the I'll Be There guy because I was like, that's who he always does. I'll Be There. But it was such a. I think sometimes there's like we talk about even in gospel music, how the Hawkins family has a sound, the Clark sisters have a sound. You know, even if you want to go secular, it's quote unquote secular. You know,
Man, we were all groomed on it, gospel and secular. Well, here's the thing: a lot of those that are in secular started out in the church. So, and I remember recently Brian Morgan. He's a songwriter.
I know him mostly for SWV.
Yeah, him and Jermaine Dupri both said this in like separate interviews. They were like, well, why is the state of R&B the way it is? Why don't people sound like the way they used to? And they both said because nobody's going to church.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my first stage.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first training ground of discipline for singing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at church doing the gospel stuff, and my parents were generous enough to allow me to sing secular stuff in school. I went to public school.
Yeah.
In Long Island.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go to no little snooty private school.
None of that.
I wasn't bourgeois enough. I went to public school, so we were any event, and then I was in the Girl Scouts. So anytime they had an event, I was the designated national anthem, national Negro anthem, event singer from the time I was 9 years old, and singing in school choruses, singing different music. It was choral music, but it was different from church choir music.
Right.
So I had those worlds colliding, and then what I was ingesting just musically in the house. My siblings are 10, 11, and 13 years older than me. So what they were listening to is what I had to listen to. I couldn't touch the stereo.
Yeah.
So what they were taking in, I was taking in. And then Top 40 radio was playing all the time. My mother was a member of the Columbia House Record Club. Any music that came out, release day used to be Tuesday back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, until Beyonce changed it to Friday. And any music that came out, she didn't check a genre. So any music that was released, that's what we listened to in the house.
Yeah.
So my music is extremely eclectic. Like I still have friends. They're like, "How do you know these white rock songs?" I'm like, "Because they were playing in the house. They played on the radio."
Yeah, and I was gonna say Mel too. Even though I even growing up and being born in the '80s, I even remember still there was like you could listen to one station and you heard all genres.
Everything.
There was no separation. It was just like, okay, you can listen. You 1 minute you hear Aerosmith, and the next minute you hear Aretha Franklin, and the next you hear, Wynton Marsalis. It just didn't.
And then the Temptations, and then Stryker. I mean, it was everything.
Yeah. So that eclectic, I said, being definitely eclectic. Again, hearing your voice, and something to go back to what Donald said. Shout out to Donald Lawrence, the maestro. But I will say too, there are specific things, and I've seen commentaries online. I mean, I've seen it myself too, but there is a distinction with your voice about sometimes you almost have to listen and be like, is that Melonie or is that because
that's another claim to fame. The wonderful presiding bishop of the Perfecting Church is Bishop Marvin L. Winans.
Yeah.
I went to sing for one of their conferences, and he was introducing me, and he's like, this woman is an amazing singer. I call her Sybil because you never know what voice she's gonna come out with. I'm like, really, sir?
Right. And I think, like you said, the distinction in that discipline for you, and also honing your craft in a way, because again, you can hear. We know what the sopranos sound like. We do know, and I mean, but the bottom is just as rich. But it's like, is this the same person? And then you go up and down and in between or whatnot. And that makes me wonder too why you've been placed to be over background singers, why you've been placed to be the chief in a sense over there, to be because of again what your abilities and your skill set are.
From like a teenager, I was always the swing. If there was a weak section, that's the section they put me in to fill.
Yeah.
Fill it up. If there were only 3 sopranos, 8 altos, and 7 tenors, I had to sing soprano. If there was only 4 altos, 9 sopranos, and 10 tenors, I had to sing alto.
Mm-hmm.
If the tenors were only three dudes and all the rest was women, I'm singing tenor.
Yeah.
That was just the way it was. And
Yeah.
even as I, started working at different assemblies at different churches,
Mm-hmm.
they all know, oh, like she can swing and do lead. Oh yeah, had me all over the place.
You were like the choir director. Just you go over here today. Yeah.
Right. And then also, being able to teach music as well, teach the choir parts. And our choirs used to get spoiled because they're like, oh no, we need Mel to do it because she sounds just like us. She does it. So they
Yeah.
got spoiled by that. So
Yeah.
when a guy came in and couldn't really sing soprano and he's singing down the octaves, the soprano's like, what? Confused. It was hilarious.
Right, right. Mel, let me ask you this: what do you think has been some of the? And again, you name a few or name one if you want to. It is your thing. But what do you think have been some of your greatest challenges being a performer of your caliber, especially in comparison, I think, to just who you are as a person? Kind of like we talked about earlier, like
Yeah.
greatest challenges of who I am, who I present to the world, versus again seeing who really Melanie is, not
Yeah.
Melonie Daniels.
Yeah. Overcoming my insecurities about myself.
Hmm.
Of course, about how I look because I grew up a chubby chick.
Hmm.
I was a big girl for a long time,
Yeah.
and so getting over, well, actually, basically ignoring
Hmm.
because I can hear the comments, I can see the faces, I can see the body language,
Sure.
and people don't realize that you can see all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And I had to literally like put up a shield to myself so I wouldn't get discouraged and or hurt by it,
Hmm.
and just walk confidently.
Hmm.
Like even though I'm doing, like I said, I'm dealing with medical issues now. My doctors are like, your posture is incredible. I'm like, I'm a musician. I perform. I
Yeah.
have to have good posture.
Yeah.
So they're tripping that that I stand up as straight as I do because I have issues with my feet. I have issues with my knees. So they're like, how do you do? I'm like, it's a long story. I'm a musician,
Yeah.
but I had to get over that. And then like even like when they were at services, remember the nighttime programs.
Oh yeah.
Your name was on program.
Yeah.
And when they would call my name, when I would stand up to walk, it would be erect. It would be um, what's the word I want? Confident. I had to, they always say, people have said this, fake it until you make it. So I
Hmm.
had to walk it like I believed it
Hmm.
until it was what I believed. Because I was also a terrible performer because I would stand in front of people. I was so insecure
Hmm.
or just so freaked out by audiences looking at me and paying attention to me, I would clamp my eyes shut for the entire song.
Hmm.
And not until I started hosting and the late great Ron Grant took me under his wing and showed me how to engage the audience did I
Yeah.
learn how to do that.
Hmm.
And I didn't learn how to start doing that stuff until I was like 23 years old. And
Hmm.
most kids that come out of church are seasoned vets by that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it took me I was a late bloomer as far as that was concerned because of a lot of insecurities and low self-esteem. We all deal with it.
Sure, sure. And something I like to say, because sometimes, Melanie, people say, that person's so insecure. Now, if someone says that to me, I'm just like, no, a person, I'm like, insecure in what? No, they're just insecure. I'm like, no, insecure in what? Because we all have insecurities. You're
Right.
insecure in something. You're not insecure as a person. Because does that mean that
Right.
everything about you you're insecure about? No, it just means you have an insecurity in something. I
Right.
wonder, how did you turn that or frame that to, because again, if I'm insecure, because again, when you're in front of people, we know you're opening up. It's so vulnerable. You're opening
Right.
up. It's not, and then you're giving them your voice. That's very, sensitive. So it's like, how do
It's
I turn?
very personal. Yeah.
Right? How do I turn that
Um,
as to
I
use it?
remember seeing, and I found this out later in life. I remember seeing famous opera singer, black opera singer Grace Brumbry,
Uh huh.
and also Jesse Norman said this too. Another famous black gospel opera singer.
Yes. Yes.
He said, "There is no place for timidity on the stage.
Mm.
You have to be rehearsed and depend on your skill enough
Mhm.
and be confident in your delivery so that people don't see the timidity or the insecurity. You know it's there. Like every time before I get up to sing, I feel like I'm gonna pee on myself. Every time to this day.
Really?
To this day.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you all hear that? This is just to let you know. Even the legends.
They're talking it up, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go. And then I'm like a little shaky. And then when they announce my name, I'm like, oh, okay. All right, good. All right, let's go. But it's always there because you're always like, am I enough? Did I do enough? Did I practice enough? Am I good enough? Those thoughts gonna run through your head. You know, and then what I contribute to that is my relationship to God, knowing that I'm made in his image and after his likeness, and I'm fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
And he didn't make any mistakes. And he gave me the gift that I give him back to, that he gets the glory for it. Yeah. Like we said earlier. You know, so I walk in God confidence when I'm about to minister and or perform, whichever word you like better.
Whichever one you pick. Okay. That kind of makes me link into this. So get out of my head though. That's what you can do. Stay over there in New York where you at. But what's one, even, and again, short story, whatever again, it's your thing. You do what you want to do. Well, what's one story you don't mind sharing that has tested your faith the most? And again, that can be in any area of your life. But what's been one story you think that's tested your faith the greatest or the most?
God has blessed me with generally fantastic health for the last 35 years of being a professional. In February of 2020, I got ill. I contracted an infection in my left foot that ended up going to the bone. And once it gets into the bone, it can get into the bloodstream and it can be deadly. That shook me because I was like, I've never had any issues with this stuff. This is foreign to me. God has always kept me together. And for me, it was a template of what the new thing that God was doing in me. And it shook me. It shook my faith. But in the midst of that, I never lost faith in God. I was very annoyed and irritated by his creations.
I'm sure.
I.e. medical staff telling me what was going to happen, because their job is to give you worst case scenario.
True.
That's their job. And it rattles your faith a bit. Like even with the diagnosis with the end-stage kidney failure. My nephrologist, kidney doctor, comes to me. He's like, you do know that it's impossible for your kidneys to start again because they're dead. You know that's impossible, right? I got so godly angry. I was like, I was depressed for about 12 hours. And I was lamenting with God. I was like, I can't believe he said this. And then I had to turn it around. I was like, God, did you hear what he said to you? He's challenging you, not me.
Yeah.
I say, you got this. I can't wait to be the one to tell everybody what you did.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you don't do it, you've already done enough. I took the 3 Hebrew boys' testimony. He's like, our God is able to deliver us from this. And if he chooses not to, he's still God.
Still God.
So I had to take that kind of stance in my faith walk. Still pushing through. The reality is, the facts are, I'm still going to dialysis 3 days a week. But the my facts, kingdom facts, I still believe God.
Yes.
That there's nothing too hard for him. You know, I don't know how it's going to come. I don't know if he's going to jumpstart my kidneys. I don't know if I have to go through the process of getting a transplant. However God wants to do it, I'm here for it.
Also, because you're choosing to still make sure you're doing all that you can on your end, and not just say, "Heal me, Lord. I'm gonna sit right here." No, you gonna heal you. I am healed, as your word says. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was
Yep.
bruised for our iniquities. The
And by his
chastisement of our
stripes,
peace was
we were.
but by his stripes we were healed. So it's like we are healed. We're already healed. So it's like,
Right.
but I have some working to do to make
Yeah.
sure I ensure that, and that's what you're doing. So it's like, and I love what you said. I mean, if you wanted to preach, I could have set you up and got you a glass of juice or something and did whatever, got you a ray.
You didn't
But
see my cup? I had my cup. Yeah.
I did. You done moved it now. But I think, like you said, it was something so powerful, and something I hope all of you listeners are out there listening to and also watching, is what she was saying, that God, did you hear what they said to you? Because see, now this is beyond me, and this is what he's saying that something's impossible. But the God,
What that boy said, this is above me.
this is above me. Like you didn't now you done messed up because my daddy heard you, and I'm turning it over to him. And as what you
And
said,
I felt like that. I was like, ooh,
wait till I
wait
wait
till I tell my daddy.
wait till he deal with you. And I think, like you say too, in a sense, in those moments, you said, as being a mental health counselor, I love the fact that you said, um, I was depressed for 12 hours. Sometimes it's like, oh no, what you being depressed for? The God. No, 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 no. I can be a human, and I had my time, my good old 12 hours, my moment. I was lamenting. I went before the Lord about it, but then I
Jesus himself says, "Spirit don't strive with man always."
that's the Bible. That's the word.
And he was all God and man.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what he's a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. He knows.
Right. Right. And again, I think I hear it all the time. Faith that can't be tested faith that can't be tested can't be trusted. So it's like, I'll trust you even in the midst of whatever this is, Lord. But I'm going to see it through with you, not by myself, not by my own strength or anything of that nature. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I don't understand everything, but I'm gonna do my part.
Right.
Can't just be waiting on God to just say, God, heal me. It's like, okay, but what have you done? Literally everything that you could do on your end, so that He can meet you with that need and that miracle or whatever that thing is. And like you said, I don't know what He's going to do. I don't know how He's going to do it. I just know He's able. I know He's able, and He's highly capable to do that.
And I believe my career has showed me how to walk in faith like that.
Oh yeah.
Because every time I had work outside of church, the church jobs that I had, I didn't know what was coming next.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so what's your next gig? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, who you going out with? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. I know it's God's favor on my life.
Mm-hmm.
I never auditioned for any of the work that I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It's all been word of mouth. It's been one artist or one church saying, "Oh yeah, call Melonie. She'll get the job done, and she'll bring people in
Mm-hmm.
that can do the work."
Yeah.
That's nothing but the favor of God.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a feather in the cap to me walking worthy before God,
Mm-hmm.
and again, letting my good works glorify the Father, and everybody sees it.
Yeah.
That speaks right to that.
It does. I think we done said that. Y'all don't know it, but we said that before we came on here, and then it keeps
It
resounding.
keeps coming up. Yeah.
It's like reverberating. It's something that keeps being said. I think that might be something, again, let your light shine before men so that they will see your good works and glorify your Father in Him. Because we could do these good works only because of Him.
Only.
What our words are but of what? Filthy rags.
Filthy rags.
Filthy rags.
We all know. You go to the Caribbean culture, you know what a filthy rag is.
Right, and see, I do know.
And people always say, they say it wrong. The saying that Caribbeans say in patois, blood clot, it's a blood cloth. Because they did not have sanitary napkins back in the day. They had a cloth. Women had a cloth that they used.
Helped to clot it.
During menstruation.
Wow.
And they would wash it and hang it on the line. So in the Caribbean, they'd be like, nobody want to see a blood cloth.
Cloth, not cloth.
They went ugly with it and said blood clot.
I know something else. Right. What I want to say is, as we are definitely at the end of our show today, Mel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I would say time, talent, and treasure. Thank you for your time with us.
Thank you.
And also because the things you share are very much so priceless with your experience, not just as Melonie Daniels, as I like to say, Melonie Daniels.
Whatever that means.
I know,
Okay.
I know. Not just because, again, of course, all of the major things that God has allowed you to do, and also keeping such a level head, having humility, having the discipline and consistency that you were raised with, being raised by two good old Bible teachers, knowing their word, and having that foundation that allowed God to take you. And not only did He take you around the world and several times, and you do so many things for over decades, and I mean, longevity, hello, somebody, but at the same time, He could trust you to do that. He could trust you.
Yeah, next year I'll be celebrating 40 years of being a professional
See what I'm saying?
musician. But at the same time, I'll be celebrating 55 years of literal singing.
See,
I've been singing. My parents put me in a choir. This is what my siblings say. They put me in a choir when I was 3. So I've actively sung since I was 3 years old.
And then professionally.
And professionally for the last 40 years.
Jesus.
Since I was 18.
See what I'm saying? So yes, He allowed what He put in you to go around the world, and it still reverberates. And I'll say this to all of you all out there. I know you all know who she is. You, like I said on one of my reels, I said, if you knew, I said, if anything, if I just say this first, if you know Mariah Carey, you know Melonie Daniels. It's inseparable. Many people, and I love other artists that I know that are in the industry, that are singers and also musicians who have mentioned Melonie. And it's funny when they talk about it because they're like, oh yeah, I think I remember George Hill talking about on American Idol or something when they were Randy Jackson and were like referencing you for
yes.
And it's
I had no clue that they were doing that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, he said that on when you guys were you were on his I think he was doing a show or it's like a podcast or something like that. He had you on there with him. You remember that?
We were both being interviewed by Damian Sneed.
That's what it was. Yes. And he brought that, and I was like, "That's crazy." But
I had no clue.
Yeah,
so the whole time that Randy Jackson was at American Idol, he was referencing me,
Melonie Daniels. Yeah.
Even when Mariah was one of the judges, she referenced me in a couple of the episodes. I'm like, what is life? What is this?
Right. So yes, but let this be a testament to each and every one of you. Let this episode, of course, be very much so something to keep in mind and also to cause you to move things. Always make sure that you are living a life to glorify God, and at the same time, never limiting Him on where He can send you. Don't just think because I'm in the church and I got to stay in the church. How your light gonna shine if you shining with other lights like that?
How are you How are you gonna go into the hedges and highways if you don't get out from the 4 walls?
Right. I wish I had like a ding ding, but yeah, spot on. Exactly. And so again, don't allow any of your talents, your skills, your abilities, your giftings, your callings, don't limit yourself to just one area or one sector of the world. Let God say, He said, I'm sending you out. So it's like, you don't know what that is and you don't want to limit yourself and you never know where that can take you. And even as Melonie said, you don't even have to, some things you're just going to walk through because it's word of mouth. And God can use anybody. He can use anybody to see you, to notice you. Just be prepared and be ready. Always practice your skills. I think that's one you can learn from what she was mentioning. Practice and hone your skills. Give it all you got. Go ahead.
Here's a practical application of that. When we did MTV Unplugged,
yes,
we rehearsed all those songs. We got to one song that we did not rehearse. That was the song Can't Let Go. She was on the stage. She turned around and looked at us. She said, do you guys know Can't Let Go? We were like, yeah. We had memorized the whole record.
Sure.
In preparation, just in case they were going to pull something from it.
Mm-hmm.
So without rehearsal, they started, the band knew it. They started playing it. We dropped right into the vocals.
Just because you were prepared. Just in case. Just in case. Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, young men and young ladies out there, I want to thank you all for tuning in with us. This has been so much fun. I love you, Mel. Thank you so much for your time and just everything. And again, giving us so much on tonight. I mean, I told you if you wanted to preach, you just should have said that, but it's okay. But I want to say thank you all for listening. Again, please share, please like, please subscribe. We don't ever want to hold these types of things just to ourselves. As we talked about, you want to spread these things out. And we're doing things and giving God everything that we have because He's got to be the glory.
Also,
What, Mel?
One more thing.
Yes.
Don't be afraid of having a therapist.
No, please. Thank you for saying that.
He's one.
Am.
He's one. Where you at? Over there.
Like
You over there.
me,
He's over there.
me.
Him. He's one. Therapy is not meant to fix you. Therapy is meant for the person that has the skill set to show you how to navigate with the skills you already have inside. And to look through a different lens at your predicament or situation, so that you're more capable and more able to handle it. That's what it's done for me.
I love that, especially you're more capable than you think. And again, while it is a process of healing, there's things that are already within you that are going to, again, help to. I'm just the therapist is the facilitator,
right?
But at the same time, to provide
y'all are the what do you call it when the lady's having a baby, the midwife.
Oh yeah, right. There we go. I like that. I like that. Okay, man. Look, let me take my notes and stuff, But everybody, please enjoy the rest of this evening, this wonderful 4th, and have a safe weekend. And as I tell y'all all the time, you have always been great. You're just getting better. You've always been great. You're just getting better. You better believe it. If you don't, y'all know I will come visit you in your sleep. But anyway, have a great weekend, and I will see y'all again. What time? 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Inspiration Station. You never know who's going to be in here next. So be on the lookout, and love y'all much. Spread love as much as possible because we need unity. Y'all know now more than ever. Bye, y'all. Good night.
Thanks for watching The Inspiration Station with Joshua Lenox. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.